Now, here is the proof right here that the welfare system destroyed the black family. This is all the truth you need to hear. Now, to all of these so called liberals that don't want to admit to it, but it's right there in front of your face. We can't keep on acting like welfare departments all around America worked simultaneously to destroy the black family and to remove the black man out of the home. Now, this is the proof that I've been talking about. Now, let's hear what they have to say.
All right. Crime. And in this case, you're writing not only about African Americans, but about low-income people generally. In the United States, murder rates, rates of infection with venereal diseases, and rates of teenage pregnancies were among the social pathologies whose steep declines were suddenly reversed in the 1960s. Nowhere was rampant violence and other social pathology as common among low-income people in the first half of the 20th century, when they were more deprived, as in the second half, when the welfare state had made them better off in material terms. Close quote. Again, it's not the intention of anybody enacting the welfare state to cause increases in violence, but it happened.
Yes.
What was the disconnect between intentions and what emerged?
Oh heavens! They misdiagnosed the causes of things, and therefore they misdiagnosed the effect to expect. For example, in the case of venereal diseases, sex education was introduced on a mass basis in the 1960s, and when the arguments for doing it were one, to reduce the level of venereal diseases and of teenage unwanted pregnancies. And both those things had been going down on their own. That is, and by 1960, the rate of infection for venereal diseases was something like half of what it was in 1950. And then they bring in the sex education, and it turns around and shoots up. Among blacks.
Now, that was another liberal program. They said we need to bring sex education in the schools for the pregnancies can go down. Then when they bring the stuff into the school, pregnancies shot through the roof. Shot through the roof. In some schools, they're even giving out condoms. For what? You have condoms to have sex. So they actually encouraged it. It actually got worse. This was another liberal program that did not improve nothing, but once again made things worse than what they were.
The homicide rates among black males declined by 18% in the 1940s, by 22% in the 1950s, and then skyrocketed in the 1960s, wiping out all that progress. And they had a different view of the world, and their view just didn't.
Can't miss that one. Now, actually, the death rate for black men went down in the 1920s. It went down. It went down. Can you imagine that? Because we ain't heard that in a long time, have we? It actually went down. But after the 1960s, when welfare came into play and low income came into play, and then they created the welfare mother, the death rate for black men shot through the roof. And it's still shooting through the roof right to this day.
Did not meet the test of time.
One more instance of this kind of retrogression, the family. Again, discrimination and disparities. As of 1960, I just find this one heartbreaking. As of 1960, 2/3 of all black American children were living with both parents. That declined over the years until only 1/3 were living with both parents in 1995. Among black families in poverty, 85% of the children had no father present. Close quote. So it's not the legacy of slavery that destroys the African American family.
It's the legacy of the welfare state.
And by the way, we see illegitimacy rates rising among everybody.
Yeah, and in other countries.
And
the very same thing in England.
And what's the mechanism? Why does the welfare state dissolve the family structure?
So the liberal supported welfare state is even messing things up in England. Anywhere the liberal theology lands, things get worser. They having the same problem in England with the black people in England living in poverty. They got crime rates in England. They got gangs in England. Just like they got United States of America. Isn't that something?
For one thing, it makes it unnecessary for fathers to support their offspring, and in fact, it makes it counterproductive in many cases. A very poor man who might be able to support his family realizes his family will be better off without him. But on the other hand, someone who's strictly irresponsible, either the man or the woman or both, now pays no price for being irresponsible. The taxpayers pay the price. And actually, the harm done to the taxpayers, which is serious, still is not comparable to the harm done to the families, especially the
To
children.
the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moynihan was excoriated for pointing this out.
1965,
The
the
Moynihan
Moynihan Report. That's right, the
Yes.
Moynihan Report.
What is so people that took this as a way of putting down blacks. What they don't understand was that one, Moynihan was a scholar who knew that his own group, the Irish Americans, had that very same problem at the beginning of the 20th century. And more importantly, Moynihan's own father deserted the family when he was 10 years old.
Oh, I didn't know that. I
He and
didn't
his
know that.
brother were out shining shoes in Times Square and Central Park to try to bring in a few pennies to help keep the house going. And so where they'd been living in this wonderful suburban area, suddenly they were in a very rough neighborhood and they were shining shoes in Times Square to try to make ends meet. And so he understood that this was one heck of a problem that people should be warned about. And he was simply excoriated.